All right. Hey, how you doing, Dr. Ganz?
Good, good. How you doing, Matt?
Really good, man. Really good. Thanks so much for taking some time here to talk to me this morning. I've been looking forward to this all week, actually.
Absolutely. It's always good to chat with you. I really enjoy our talks because I think we have so much in common, and yet we work in different areas. So it's kind of cool that it's cool how things kind of mesh up that way. Hey.
Absolutely. It feels so good when you can actually resonate with somebody and you're kind of chatting and then hey, I'm not the only one that thinks like this, right? You kind of feel sane. So
That's right.
hey,
That's
I
proof.
just I guess before we get going here, I want to recap something here. Like I know like you've been 30 years plus in the psychological health like industry, right? You've been helping people, you've been helping our community over the last 30 years. I mean, you're a speaker, you're an author, you're a coach, you're a TV personality. And I noticed like a lot of the things that you work in the key areas like stress, anxiety, depression, relationships really grabbed me, especially when you said, relationship with yourself. I think that's so important,
Mhm.
but also with family and colleagues and, properly communicating. All these things really, really grab me, especially where we're at today in the world, right? I mean, so much has changed over the last couple of years. I mean, you must see the effect in your own practice and just talking to people. So, maybe just take a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself, and what you've been noticing really in the last little while here with everything that's been going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, one of the reasons I got into this field is because like I did not have the greatest like upbringing, right? I mean, like if the family of origin, and this is usually there's a lot of people have a similar story, right? This is not like a unique story, I'm sure. But not the greatest family of origin stuff. So where a lot of people, if you got healthy, well put together parents, you're learning some ways to interact with the world in a healthy way, some stuff around money, some stuff about relationships and managing stress, health, all these different things that we get from our parents, right? And our schools and our institutions that we're around all the time. I did not have a lot of that stuff. Actually, it's a lot in many cases, I had kind of the opposite, like really bad training in certain things. And so, one of the reasons I got into psychology was like, okay, there's got to be a better way. And I need to figure that out for me. But I also figure, if I can figure it out for me, I can actually maybe then help other people avoid this and that kind of break those cycles. And I definitely want to break it for my own kids, right? And so, yeah, I went to school, learned a bunch of stuff, but I've also continued learning. And, you and I have talked about this before. Not only have I been in the field of psychology for 30 years, I've also been on the other side of the couch. I've been a patient or a client of a psychologist for about 30 years as well as coaches and other people like yourself who've helped me along the way as well. And, I'm very thankful that I was able to engage in that. I don't think. Well, I know I'm not. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't have people like yourself and my psychologists and other folks helping me to figure out how to do this better. And I don't like really. I don't think I would be alive even without like psychological intervention on my part to be able to kind of figure some stuff out. I definitely wouldn't be married still. So you can ask my wife about that one. But but that's kind of why I got into this. And I really, really do, on a selfish note, I guess, when we can create a better world, when we can create a better society where people are healthier, they're happier, they're more stable, they understand a lot of the to people in our field very simple psychological concepts and techniques and strategies. When they can understand those and put those into practice, their lives you know improve exponentially. But most people don't know it. They've never been exposed to it. They don't trust it. It's never been explained to them, that sort of thing, right? So that's kind of one of my missions in life, is to bring this really good information to people in a digestible way that they can take it in and actually use it.
I absolutely love that. And I mean, the story part of it, I think it resonates with so many people. I mean, it was the exact reason I got into doing what I do was, you grow up and you learn all the things not to do, right? And we go out and, we go, oh, geez, I want to do better in life. And all of a sudden, we start to find a coach or a mentor and we change our mindset and our lives change drastically, and that story, like, kind of, growing up in whatever, there's a broken home or, abusive or whatever that may be, we hear that so much. And it's all, I think, taking charge of our lives, right? Our parents gave
Mhm.
us the best that they could based on the best that they had at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would have done better. And then it comes to us, we want better for our children. And I find it's amazing to know, one of the things you say is, feel better, do better, and be better. And I think
Mhm.
everybody would absolutely love to do that, right? I don't think
Mhm.
there's anybody that's listening to this right now that says, no, I wouldn't want any of those things, right? We all want
I
it.
don't. Oh, I'm good. Right.
Right. And, it is so simple to be able
Mhm.
to, create that for yourself, but it's not easy, right? It's
Well,
simple.
that's the thing. I mean, I think about your work, right, and what you do in helping people with mindset, right, and understanding how they think. It can sound easy on like the surface of it, but if you don't have somebody like yourself to hold their hand, or you know what I mean, kind of guide them through some of this stuff, they don't know what to do. They might know what not to do, maybe sometimes, right, but they don't know what to do instead. And this is what I like about the work you're doing, is that it gives them that other stuff. Here, think about doing it this way. Why don't you try this? Do you know what I mean? And but you tell us more about kind of your side of things.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I fell in love with the stuff that I do for the same reason you did. Is I seen a need for it. I noticed that, by finding a mentor, a coach, or somebody to talk to really help me, I guess, figure out what it was I really wanted in life,
Mhm.
things really changed, right? And it got to a point where I started seeing all these results in my own life, and I felt selfish because people around me weren't getting the same results. So I wanted to
Right.
share it with them. Right. And it really comes down to a mindset, setting a goal and really, working towards something, having something to get excited about in the morning to get out of bed. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing thing what happens with the right mindset, a goal, and some mentorship, right? Some
Mhm.
support, some people around you to say, hey, you can do this, right? Somebody who has belief in you, maybe when you don't. And it
Mhm.
kind of helps you, push along and start moving towards those things. And I always find, there's one single thing that we can do in our lives that really eliminates any problem, and that's making a decision,
Mhm.
right? And it's making like a clear cut decision, whether that's on, I want to be healthier and make a decision to be healthier, right? Or, I want to have improved relationships, or I want to earn more money. It's all about making a decision and then accepting that idea that you're going to do it and blazing a path, making it happen, right? Taking
Mhm.
action and really really moving towards, that thing that you want. It gives you the energy, right? It gives you
Mhm.
the inspiration that you need to move forward. People notice changes in you. You're helping people along the way, and you really have that bounce in your step.
Mhm.
When you're moving towards something, but in the beginning, you need somebody, or I needed somebody to say, hey, you can do this,
Mhm.
right? I didn't believe I could do it, and we can never outperform our own self-limiting beliefs, right?
Mhm.
So it's really getting into our own belief system and the way that we think about ourselves. It kind of goes back to that relationship we have with ourselves that you talk about so much, and it's so important that, number one, that we nourish that relationship, right? We
Mhm.
talk to ourselves more than we talk to anybody else in a day, so we better be saying nice things. And I think we take an inventory of the things that we say to ourselves during the day, and we go, would I say that to my best friend or my spouse or
Mhm.
somebody I love? We would go, no. So why do we do it to ourselves?
Mhm.
And so maybe I'll hand it over to you. Maybe a great question. What are some of the things that you do on a daily basis, maybe a ritual, that really help you keep that positive mindset?
Yeah, well, so there's two things. One thing that I've done for a long, long time. I remember when I was oh geez, I can't remember how old I was. Probably about 25, 26 maybe. And I started going to therapy. And my therapist, my psychologist said, you know, Gans, would be really helpful to you if you started a journal, if you started to keep a journal and write stuff down. And I said, what do I need that for? You know what I mean? I'm good. Right. And so, you know, I was going every week. And so hey, you journaling yet? Nope. You journaling yet? Nope. Journaling yet? Nope. 2 years. Okay. Slow learner. Can't write yet, whatever. So after 2 years, I finally said, man, I better give this thing a try. So I started writing. I didn't know what to write. Started writing, and all of a sudden, all this stuff started coming out, right? And it's like, oh, this is what she was talking about, right? And so that is something that has been a consistent part of my life for like, you know, like 30 plus years now, right? Is journaling as often as I can. I try to do it every day. I don't always get to do it every day, but I try to hit it at least once or a couple times a week. And what I really find is just being able to be by myself and with my own thoughts, not being, you know, interrupted, being able to express my emotions and my ideas clearly. It does so much for me. It helps me slow down my thoughts. It helps me offload negative emotions, helps me celebrate and deepen positive emotions, right? Helps me get some objectivity to whatever is going on in my life. It also helps me plan and move forward. And it's saved my butt so many times when I was in so much stress, didn't know what to do. I just pull out my book, start writing, and after a while, I was like, oh, okay, okay. And that is one of the things that I do fairly consistently. Two other things that I do is, one is practice mindfulness, really being present, trying to be present as much of the time as I can. So things like, you know, this morning when I took a shower, I was, you know, smelling the soap and I was feeling the wetness and the warmth of the water. This time of year, when you go outside, the mornings are really crisp. So you go outside, it's like, right. Just like that, that's a little bit of sting in your nostrils and just the crispness of the air, how you can hear things so well. Just paying attention to those things really helps to ground me in the present. And then, you know, the third thing is I really try to look after my physical plant. So one of the big things I talk about is sleep, right? Making sure I've organized my life in such a way that I can get 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep a night on a regular basis, right? Because I know that when I do that, and just some other things that I do too, but when I get that physical foundation in and sleep, a lot of the stuff goes better. My body works better, my mindset's better, my mood's better, I'm more creative, all these different things, right? So those are three of the many things that I do on a regular basis to kind of keep myself on the right side of, you know, of positive. So
Yeah, I love that. You know, journaling has always been big for me too. I do more gratitude lists than anything, and I think that goes along with what you say. You know, the mindfulness of, you know, walking out in the morning on that cool, crisp morning and just, you know, like taking it in and really experiencing it and being present in the now, because that's all we have, right? You know,
mhm.
we can't change the past; it's already gone. We don't know how much future we have. All we have is this minute right now that you and I have, and you know, it's important to be present in it. And I think it's important for a couple different reasons. One, so life doesn't just pass you by and you're like wondering, you know, I want the next thing to happen, right? We're on to the next thing, like what's next. But really, you know, the to be in it and feel it and be grateful for it. When you can do that, you can attract more of that.
Yep.
You know, so
Yep.
taking that 5 minutes, 10 minutes to yourself to really practice whatever ritual it is that you have that makes you feel better. You know, so it could be journaling, could be gratitude list, it could be, you know, reading a positive quote.
Mhm.
Maybe it's playing an instrument, right? You know, taking that time to really be in it and get into that frequency, that feeling of gratefulness and being grateful for everything that we have right now can really make a huge difference. So now here's a great question for you. You know, I think it's easy for professionals like us to say, hey, you know what, do all these things during the day. You're going to feel great. You're going to create the life that you want. You're going to manifest, you know, your dreams, and all these things are going to happen, right? But, you know, we get people that are, you know, working 40, 50
Mhm.
hours a week. They're working 9 to 5. They got children. They're hustling to daycare. You know, we're taught to take care of our body as well to feel good. So, like, how do we figure out what's most important? How do we put value on these things and still make it happen in such a crazy busy world that we're living in? Like what do you suggest? Because
So
you see
true.
it all the time, right?
Well, that's, you and I talked about this before. When you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You think about, the base of the pyramid is all about like kind of survival and how do you just kind of stay alive? Do you know what I mean? And at the top, you have the self-actualization. I want to be at peace. I want to feel gratitude all the time. Want to manifest stuff, and all this other stuff, right? And I talk about myself like a lot of the work I do is really down in the basement of that. Right? It's on the foundation, because a lot of people have that same question. It's like, well, where do I fit it in? Like, I got all this stuff going on. What's going on? How can I, you want me to what? Pay attention to what? And journal? Nah, I
Not
don't
feed
have
the
time for
kids
that.
today so I can,
Yeah,
meditate.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly where my head was. It's like, you want me to add something? What do you do?
Right.
Get crazy? Right. Uh, but it really, so the answer is not something that's super popular, unfortunately. Sorry. Um, it is really thinking about how, like, what is the paradigm we're running our lives on. Okay. Typically what I see is that, you hit adulthood or you're in high school. They say, okay, well, when are you going to get out of high school? When are you going to go to college? You're going to get a job. Okay. After you do that, are you dating somebody? Your house? Okay. When are you guys going to settle down? Where's the kid? When are you getting married? What's about the house? When are you going to have another kid? When's the next house coming? You know what I mean? And there's this treadmill that's like, right. That's things. And sometimes not even the people outside of us, sometimes just like in our heads, we think that this is what we need to do. So I'm a big fan of people going through midlife crises, right? So men, it's usually the midlife crisis, we call it, or women, sometimes they call it the empty nest syndrome when the kids leave or whatever. When we do these things correctly, it means we wake up to some extent and say, I'm not happy with what I have. How can I do things differently going forward, right?
Mm.
This whole experience we had with COVID was the whole world kind of having to do that. We all went through a midlife crisis at the same time, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Everything stopped. And all of a sudden we were alone with our thoughts, like, oh my God, right? So now we have a chance, and this, we don't have to wait for a crisis. We don't have to wait for a pandemic or a sickness or a bankruptcy or anything like that. We can actually do this anytime we want, to start to pay attention, to say, okay, is this working for me? Is what I've been doing working for me? Is this mindset, this treadmill that I'm on, this playbook that I'm using to run my life, does it actually make sense? I would say most cases not, right? I would say that we've inherited it, we've sort of been conditioned into it, but it may not be the most effective thing for us. Well, for sure in the long term, but even in the medium or short term, it might not be, right? Stephen Covey has a quote, and I'm paraphrasing it here. He says, it's a hard thing when you finally make it. You climb the ladder of success, and you finally make it to the top, only then to realize it's been leaning against the wrong wall the whole time, right?
Mm.
And it's like, Jesus, like, oh, that hurts, you know. And so I really encourage people to, when you look at your busy life, to figure out, is this really what I want? Are these things really the priority that we think they are, right? And most of the times it's not, because when something really important happens, somebody gets sick or there's something big happens, those things that we thought were important last week are insignificant now, right? And so why wait? Let's figure that out now. And then let's put these important things in proactively. Let's rearrange our lives, put our priorities in order so that we can proactively have a good life. We can look after our health. We can think about our mindset. We can make sure we're connecting with the people that are important to us and doing these things on a regular basis before something bad happens. And then it's not about squeezing more stuff into an already busy life. It's really about prioritizing, so you understand, oh, these are the things that really matter, and these other things, I thought they mattered, but they really don't matter that much.
I love that. It's so cool, and it's just so interesting. When we think about this, and kind of like you said, it's like, why not right now, right? Like,
Mhm.
what am I waiting for? And it's either one day or day one, right? And so many of us wait until the event happens that
Yes.
causes us to make the change. And when
Right.
we wait for it, we typically have it changed in a negative way. And we have to make
Right.
changes in our life because there's no other choice. And we're not in control of that. Right.
Mhm.
And, I think what I really love about, talking with you and working with you and the information that I work with, it's being in charge of your life. It's saying
Absolutely.
day one, it's saying, do you know what? I plan on living a healthy life and I want to do that. But it's not, waking up and skipping, the things that you should be doing. It's
Mhm.
getting up and doing these things. And we talk about it. And I always say one of my favorite quotes is by Robert Hyman. And he says, in absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it. Right.
Mhm.
So when we keep putting off the things that we know we should do that are going to make us feel better and help us, enjoy a better life, life takes over and it gets filled up
Mhm.
with things like laundry and going to get the mail and,
Right.
cleaning up a room that you've cleaned up twice today already,
Mhm.
or dishes, or whatever else you let slip in there. And it's funny because when we step out and we start to try to really change our lives for the better, we're doing different things, right? We got to change our habits. And a lot of times we get scared of what we're going to give up, right? So it's
Mhm.
like sacrifice. We think of this word sacrifice, but we think of it negatively, right?
Right.
But what we forget to really look at is, when I give this up, what am I gaining?
Exactly. It's a transaction, right? It's like
Right.
I'm buying something better with whatever I'm paying for, right? Yeah.
Right. So, when we want different results, we've got to have that courage to step out and do different things.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and take that mindset and really run with it.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding. But you're so right. I mean, it's so easy just to get caught up. One of the things that I did, one of the reasons, I'm one of the things that I've sort of put together is this program or the system I call the Me Factor, right? And
gonna
the
ask you about that.
reason,
I'm glad you brought it up.
yeah, yeah, it's this thing behind me. Yeah, so I wrote a book on it. I did a bunch of stuff, right? And the reason I did that was because I kept burning myself out, right? I
Mm,
just kept hitting the wall and crashing, and like my health would be falling apart. Like people pissed off at me all the time, right? It's like just like feeling gross, right? And when I realized that, if left to my own devices, if I waited for what the feeling was like in the moment, I would always default to whatever the dysfunction was. And most of us are like that, right? And so what I had to do was I came up with a system. It's kind of like, in companies we have policies and procedures. That way, if somebody's screaming at somebody, or there's a crisis or something, you just pull out the book and you follow the steps, right? You don't have to think about it. You take your emotions out of it. And that's kind of what I wanted, because I can't be trusted to look after myself and make those good decisions when the heat's on, right?
right.
And so I had to give myself some policies and procedures, a protocol to follow to make sure I got all these important things in, but then also guarded myself so I didn't keep burning myself out. Because what I found was I had the idea, oh yeah, this is what my life wants to look like. This is what I do, is what I told myself, right? Yeah, this is who I am, this is what I do. Well, but except for this over here, because, well, that's an emergency. Oh, well, this is a special circumstance over here. Well, and this over thing over here. Well, of course, I got to do something different, right? But the thing is, what I realized was my life was all the exceptions. It wasn't like this perfect environment where I could just follow this nice blissful plan. It was all these exceptions, and so I had to account for that. And so, okay, that's it. I have to just do what I know is good when I'm thinking clearly, write it down, and then just follow the program. Turn my brain off and just follow the program, right? Because if not, then that's exactly right. We get lost in the minutia of life, right? I got the laundry to do, and well, so and so called me, and well, dog crapped on the rug, man. It's like I gotta go clean that up. Well, you probably should clean that up, but you know what I mean. Like, you get lost in that and really leave out the important stuff that actually moves your life forward and helps you feel that sense of groundedness and autonomy and power in your own life.
Yeah. Like actually living life, not just living
Yes.
the day-to-day things that we get caught up in that are habitual, like dishes and laundry and cleaning the house and, putting fuel in the car and washing all these things that they take up our time. But really, when we think about it, this is how we want to be spending our lives,
Right.
right? And sometimes we just think that's the way it is, and we don't
Yeah, yeah,
see it
yeah,
any other
exactly.
way because that's how it's always been, right? So
Right.
we don't know any different. We're not aware how to create, that zen in our lifestyle, that
Mhm.
balance, that what we really want. And I think that's what I love about that me factor. And I watched a recording of a big seminar you had done live, and kind of talking about it, and making a joke about it being a little bit selfish, but really it's not, right? Like it's not
Right.
selfish when you put yourself first, because really, if you put yourself first and you really work on you, you can really put that out to other people and improve your life and the quality of others by focusing on yourself first and figuring out what makes you tick and what you really love to do, right?
Yep.
It's fun to work at things that you love to do.
Well, when I always say, the best defense is a good offense, right? When you're working on yourself and you're doing things that excite you, that's your natural defense from stress, from anxiety, from depression. When you feel like you're in control of your own life, you're able to manage this stuff. The things that stress people out are the things that are just, oh, these are challenges, like opportunities for me to be creative now. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like more powerful, right? And yeah, and it's like the idea of thinking that looking after yourself is selfish is kind of like thinking that, well, I'm not going to put gas in my car until the car has proven to me that it can drive me to Calgary or to Florida or whatever. I'm going to reward the car with gas, as
Right.
opposed to I'm going to give gas to the car to fuel up so I can go somewhere.
Right.
Right, doing things proactively. No, I'm going to do that if there's time left after my journey. Maybe I'll put gas in the car. You know what I mean? Then you're not going to go anywhere, right? And we are our engines. We are our vehicles for life and for creating all the good stuff that we want to achieve and accomplish, and creating the relationships we want in life. And if we're not fueled up or in good working order, we suffer. But then all sort of the innocent bystanders, right? So
I love that. I love that. I think the biggest thing that caught me, and I'm not going to keep you much longer there, Dr. Gantz, is you're talking about that feeling, that fuel that's inside of you. And I think the biggest thing that I've recognized in the last couple of years, really kind of figuring out, because everything has changed, right? Everything has changed for a lot of people, for me drastically, is that feeling of like, that you're full of fuel and ready to go. It actually is created from within. A
mhm.
lot of times, until we understand, we think it's outside stimulants that are creating that, right? Because we see something that we like, or maybe a result that we created, and it's like, yes, and we step into ourselves. And I think when we understand, really, when we feel that energy, really what we're doing is we're connecting with our true inner self, that person that really wants to come out to the surface, right? That doesn't have any filters, that is just there living life and this desire to live. And we can connect with that, more than we actually know. And as we
Mhm.
do that, we start really stepping into our true selves. And that only benefits everybody, right? It benefits us and it benefits
Absolutely right.
everybody around us.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we're all unique individuals, and we all bring something so special to the world, right? So it's so cool. Dr.
Well, I
Gant,
mean, you are the gift, right? You are the gift, and that's when you're in good working order, then everybody gets the gift, right? So
it's such a beautiful thing. I wish we had more time. I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for taking a half an hour out of your day today to talk with me. I'm looking forward to doing this more.
absolutely.
We have an event coming up November 30th. I am super excited about it. We're going to come together. We've got a panel of experts, myself, Dr. Gantz, Nikolai Rizek, Charlie Fattal. We're doing it on November 30th at 7 p.m. I'm going to put a link in this video down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I did. anytime I can get with Dr. Ganz is always great time, picking his brain and getting to talk to him. And, again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the 30th, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, take it easy, guys.